My mama, too, and my pa, they were my grandparents on my mom's side. And when I was a little boy, they lived just two doors down from us in Virginia. And so as a little boy, I was at Mama Two's house a lot and at Pa's house a lot. My Mama Two, oh, she could make good banana pudding. She had a wooden spoon that she cooked with. And she could also make a boy behave with that wooden spoon. She could just show it to me and say, son, you need to behave. You need to act right. Because there's other things she could do with that wooden spoon. And Mama, too, was a wonderful lady. I told you the story, how she encouraged me about that giant bat, that baseball bat that I had as a boy, that the rest of my cousins were kind of mocking me a little bit, making fun of me for getting such a huge bat that I couldn't even swing. But my mama, too, encouraged me, and I learned how to hit that ball with that giant bat. You'll have to listen to that story sometime. Keep swinging the bat. Well, my mama, too, passed away. She's in heaven now. My pa's in heaven, too. My pa led singing at church. He taught shape note gospel singing schools, mostly in North Carolina. Well, after Mama Two passed away, Pa moved back to North Carolina. And that brings me to the story today. So, Pa had moved back to North Carolina, and I was about 7 years old now. And so, one weekend, we went down there to see Pa. My dad, my mom, myself, we all went down there to see Pa. And he had moved into a house there in North Carolina. And so we got there, and I was talking with Pa outside. And outside of Pa's house that he was living in now, there was this big old plum tree. Yeah, had some wonderful plums on it. Pa said, son, let's have us a plum. And so we went over there, and we kind of wiped that plum off a little bit, and he and I ate a plum. He said, you want another one? I said, yeah, I'll eat another one. I'm a little 7-year-old boy, and these plums taste real good. So I ate a couple plums there with Pa. We went inside the house, and then little boys, they like to play outside, at least back then. I liked to play outside as a boy. So I went back outside. I don't know, different family members were there. And it was a Saturday, and I went back outside, and I was playing. And I went over that plum tree again, and I ate me one or two more of those plums. Boy, those plums were good. And then I kept playing, and then I may have had another one or two of those plums. Oh, they were so good. Juicy. They were good. Well, my Uncle Bert came by. And he pulled up in the driveway, and I went out there and greeted him. I was already outside, and I said, hey, to my Uncle Bert. I said, hey, you want some plums? And me and Uncle Bert, we stood there by that plum tree, and we had one or two plums. He ate plums. I ate plums. My Uncle Bert went on inside where my dad was, my mom was, Paul was inside, and I kept playing outside. But every now and again, I'd go eat me some plums. Well, then my dad came outside, and I don't know, he had something to do, and I was talking with my dad, and we decided, me and Dad said, hey, why don't we have some plums? And I ate some plums with my dad. And then my dad went on about doing whatever he needed to do, and I went back to playing, and then I went and had me some more plums. Oh, they were good plums. Oh, yeah, those plums were good. Well, I kept playing. They just kept going by. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Suddenly it's supper time. And like was common, my mom would come to the screen door, and she'd call my name. Byron, Byron, it's supper time. Well, I went in there to eat supper. Now, my parents just kind of put food on your plate, and you're supposed to just eat the food on your plate. You didn't get to really choose, how many beans you wanted or how many beans you didn't want, or if you wanted mustard greens or not, or if you wanted potatoes or not. They just put it on your plate, and you just ate it. That's just how it was. And so they'd fix my plate, And isn't it good to have food? Oh, yeah. People around the world not having much food. But back then, at least in my house, boys and girls didn't get to decide what all they was having. You were just given your food and you're supposed to eat it. And clean your plate now. Before you can have any seconds, you need to clean your plate. And they'd let me have seconds. Oh, yeah. If I'd clean my plate up, I could have some more. And usually then I could say, I'd like some more of those brown beans, please. Oh, I like brown beans. And I like potatoes. And I like sauerkraut. And of course, I like meat. And I just like lots of that. Corn on the cob. That's good when you have corn on the cob. And cornbread. Just recently, my mom made some cornbread. I'm trying not to eat much cornbread. I'm trying not to eat much bread at all these days. But I tried me a bite of some cornbread my mom made recently. I was going to have me one bite. Then I decided I had me two bites. Then I had one pone of cornbread. Then before you knew it, I'd had quite a bit of that cornbread. Oh, my mom could make the best cornbread. It's so good. Well, let me get back to my story. So I went inside. My mom had said, Byron, she's at the screen door. Byron, come in, it's supper time. And so I went inside, except I didn't really want to eat supper. I said, I'm really not that hungry. Son, you need to sit down and eat your food now. Your mom's made you some food, and we're going to have supper together. Well, I came to the table, but I'll just tell you, I didn't really feel much like eating. I really didn't. And someone said, now, son, just go ahead and start eating a few bites of that supper. Well, I'll tell you, I took a bite. But I'm telling you, I was not hungry. In fact, I'll tell you what I was. I had eaten so many plums. I'd eaten plums with my pa. I'd eaten plums by myself. I ate plums with Uncle Bird. I ate plums by myself again. I ate plums with my dad. And then I played some more and ate some more plums. And man, by the time I got inside to eat my supper, I'll just tell you, I ate one bite of that supper, and I'll just tell you something. Are you ready? I'm just going to tell you, I was plumb sick. Oh, yeah. I plumb ruined my supper. Sometimes they say, you'll ruin your supper. I plumb ruined my supper. In fact, I'll just tell you, I plumb ruined my whole evening. I was plumb sick. I'm here to tell you, friends, you can eat too many plums. Oh, they're good for you if you don't eat too many of them in one day. I don't know how many plums I ate. I plums with my pa, plums by myself, plums with Uncle Bert, plums by myself, plums with my dad, plums by myself. I just kept eating plums till I tell you, I was plum sick that evening. Be careful how many plums you eat. You can eat too many plums and be plum sick. Oh, and my parents took good care of me that night. I'm glad for good parents. Mamas and daddies need to be good to their children. And when children are sick, mamas and dads need to take care of their children. And my parents did. My parents are still alive, and they're such a blessing. They've been good to me my whole life. And I want to be good to them. And the Bible says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. And it tells us in the Bible we are to honor our father and honor our mother. That's a commandment from God. And we want to obey God. In fact, boys and girls can't really be right with God if they're not right with their parents. I want all the boys and girls to be good boys and girls. I want them to talk right to their parents. I want them to obey their parents. I want them to love God. I want them to go to church. I want them to pray. But I do want them to be careful not to eat too many plums, because you can get plum sick. I hope you've enjoyed this story, and I hope you enjoy listening to all these little stories from when I was a child. I've got several of them up here online. Listen to all of them and laugh along with me at these stories. May God bless.